Hello and welcome to this general overview of the new early access game Days of War. This game is apparently inspired by Day of Defeat, but I would more say that it's a Day of Defeat clone because it looks the same, it plays the same, the maps are the same. So for £20 on Steam you'll get access to the game currently. You would usually have 4 maps, but because one of the maps is copied from Day of Defeat, there is like some kind of copyright issues going on, so the game only now comes with 3 maps. It has 2 game modes. This includes Domination and one called Detonation, which is on Omaha Beach, and it's kind of like Search and Destroy, and there's multiple objectives and you have unlimited respawns, and these are all played on dedicated servers. Currently the only factions are the US and Germany, although for the next big update they will be adding British and Russian troops, 2 new maps, 3 game modes including Escort, Search and Destroy and Free for All. I'm not sure where TDM is. As well as the map editor, stat tracking and cosmetic progression. So firstly, in general, if you're a Day of Defeat fan or just like the way that Day of Defeat plays, then the chances are you're going to like this game. If you don't like the way Day of Defeat plays, then it's highly probable that you're not going to like it. Now I have a lot to say about this game, as having an old school World War II shooter that could be competitive and appear in 2017 is something that I feel strongly about. You may not agree with everything I say, but they are my opinions. And although I know this game is a Day of Defeat clone, so I and other players should just expect everything to be like Day of Defeat, I have to look at the game from a general public view as a new release, and they might not have knowledge of DOD. Something not just me, but most FPS players put at the top of their list is how a game plays, how smooth and fluent it feels, and those would be probably the opposite words to use for this game. I don't really believe it's because the developers are not capable of making a good game or a good movement system. I think it stems down entirely because it's made to play that way, because it's supposed to be like Day of Defeat. And the movement is very clunky. Once you start an animation, you can't cancel it. Your freedom to move fluently as a player is just completely stripped away. If you prone, you have to do the entire animation and can't shoot while it's underway. If you reload a rifle, for example, you can't cancel it with bullets in the gun. You have to either reload the entire weapon or nothing at all. Battlefield 1 is a game which is supposed to be made realistic, yet it still feels more fluent than Days of War by a long shot. Again, it seems probably like an unfair comparison because Battlefield is made by a huge company, while for the most part Driven Arts is self-funded. But my point is not that Battlefield can afford to make a better game and better movement system, it's that Days of War purposely makes the movement system bad. But by copying something like DOD's movement system is absurd when 99.9% of the current gamers are not going to enjoy DOD's clunky movement. The average player base of games now is probably 16 to 20, most of them won't even really have an idea what DOD is, and because they're young, they're expecting for a sharper, more fluent and responsive movement system without question. And by not sticking to DOD's old movement system, you will probably annoy 500 to 1,000 DOD players, but in return you would probably gain 5, 10, 15,000 players who like the game to be smoother. Moving on from the general movement, the gunplay I feel is okay. Again, it's like DOD, the recoil is rather huge, but I don't entirely mind it and I have no issues with it and killing people. The problem with the way the game plays is not really down to the large recoil system, but because rifles are just generally overpowered. There's no reason to use an automatic weapon right now because the game has poor movement and no lean function. This is because the gameplay has turned into almost Counter-Strike. It's linear. Due to having no lean, people just stand, walk forward or crouch and hold an angle with a rifle, which one-shots anyone in the body and you'll always win. Players can't jump around corners and shoot really with any accuracy or move fast because the sprint system, which has a long regen and promotes slower gameplay. The rifles also, as expected, have basically perfect unscoped accuracy, so I can't really think of any scenario where I would prefer an automatic weapon than a one-shot kill rifle. Long range, close range, it doesn't really matter. With above average or even average aim, your chances of winning that duel are always higher because the thing that the rifles struggle against the most in games is unpredictable fast movement, which this game does not have. I assume this is a Day of Defeat system where you get 1 health pack which heals you for 50, and then after that you have no ways to regain HP unless someone else gives you their health pack, and of course this never happens. I'm struggling to see how this is fast gameplay when you're stuck on 10 HP and have no way to recover health, as it just promotes players to sit in corners and camp. Due to all of this, you can pretty much even take the MG, which I don't even understand why is in the game, and prone on the floor, take your hand off the keyboard and just aim with your mouse, because you'll never die, because players cannot peek you as they will expose their entire body and you're always going to win that duel. I guess the real counterplay to this is probably grenades, but grenades right now don't really work very well. They're buggy, they take forever to explode, and to be honest, you're never going to be able to peek out and throw a grenade because you'll just die. On the plus side, because of all of this, rifles are very fun, which for me is great, as I spent 5 years throughout Medal of Honor, COD 1 and COD 2 playing rifle only. It just means that the other 7 guns are redundant. This is what the game looks like on max graphics. The previous gameplay was on the lowest possible without the ridiculous film grain because I only play FPS on the lowest graphics. Graphically, the game is, I guess, reasonable. Nothing terrible, nothing great. In some places it looks quite nice, in others it looks pretty poor for this early stage. I feel like the game looked a lot better in the trailers, but it's probably something to do with rendering cinematics and stuff in Unreal Engine. Games always seem to look better when they're shown in trailers than the actual gameplay. Hello Ubisoft. I do believe they are adjusting some lighting and reducing the fog and dust, and also reducing the film grain effect in the next update, as well as working on the optimization, which right now I'd say reasonable. When I got the game a few days ago, I was really struggling for FPS to even be above 100. They put out a small update about 2 days ago and it has increased quite a lot. I would assume this will be improved in further updates as well. Changing your graphic settings doesn't really alter the FPS that much. The low FPS is caused by how many players are in a server at once, which they said is because of the cost of player animations. They said in the next big update they will be rewriting their animation code to, try and improve the issue. Another small thing is the visual feedback when killing a player is non-existent right now, and you always have to check the kill feed to see when you've killed somebody. This is something else that they are working on to improve, so that should overall make it a better experience. Another thing that you've probably noticed is the field of view. The fob in the game actually isn't bad, it's pretty good, it's 120 field of view, but the issue for some reason, like COD 4 Remastered, is that the gun doesn't scale with the field of view, meaning the gun is ridiculously huge on the screen, like I'm playing a console game. It's easily fixable, just scale the gun with the field of view. In terms of netcode, the registration seems good. I don't think I've had any issues so far with shooting people and wondering where my bullets are going. The registration seems relatively solid. I like that it's one bullet headshot for the most part, although I think still some of the weapons, it's kind of stupid. The MG has 100 bullets, no recoil, one bullet headshot at any range. I don't actually think in general the guns have any range fall off damage. The shotgun is especially ridiculous right now. It's like a rifle. You can one-shot people from like 50 feet away and it has no recoil. Another reason why automatic weapons such as the Thompson or the MP40 are pointless when you can just shoot people with a shotgun from long distance and do more damage and more accuracy. I think if they are never going to contemplate changing the movement, which I really think they should because it would seriously benefit the game if they change the movement, or even adding lean, which I think is even more unlikely, then they definitely need to take a look at and tweak weapons damage and fall off ranges. Overall, there are a lot of bugs, and even game-breaking ones. I mean, these are somewhat expected as it is early access, but I feel like since the game has been in alpha and beta for so long, like nearly a year, I really can't understand what kind of feedback the people before in the alphas were giving when you have like such bad spawns, or why are the boats flying around. I mean, I found this game-breaking bug in a matter of hours of playing where I can just shoot people through walls. I'm just kind of wondering where the feedback was from previous alpha and beta testers. This is of course early access, so it's about a year before the full release, so again bugs and glitches are expected, but I just feel like a lot of this stuff should have been fixed way before now. Most of it is just simple fixes that are very easily seen by players that have eyes. In terms of the free maps that exist now, since Thunder is no longer in the game, which I think was actually an okay map, but obviously it was just copied from Day of Defeat. Carentan plays nice, I like it. I don't particularly like, I think it's called Kaisersberg. It's too much like a CS map for me, it's just linear streets, only archway entrances, and is the worst map for what I explained earlier about people standing still and just holding a choke with a rifle or MG. Omaha Beach, it's obviously never going to be a competitive map, but actually the most fun map of all three, just because I enjoy playing it in public, because it's easy to shoot people who are helplessly running up the beach, trying to dodge 10 rifles. You would expect that smoke grenades could be beneficial here for cover, but these are entirely useless. They don't actually emit any smoke. I'm not even sure what they are. They're more like weather effect mist generator. You can just see straight through them. It has to be the most pitiful smoke I've ever seen. It just gives you no cover. I guess that pretty much sums up this video. Hopefully I've displayed enough for you to have your own opinion. As I said at the start of the video, if you like Day of Defeat, then you'll probably like the game. I've had my fun with the game, playing it the last few days. Mostly probably because it's nostalgic to play a World War II shooter and I guess this type of FPS game. But it's not something that I could sink a lot of hours into right now in this state. I just feel like for 2 years development there isn't really that much to show. especially considering the maps. I'd be more impressed if they made their own maps and weren't just copies from an old Day of Defeat game. I think the game has some real potential, and it would improve exponentially with changes that I've talked about in this video, especially on the movement side of things. I think that really is, at the moment, the biggest factor that holds this game back from bringing in loads of players that are not interested in Day of Defeat gameplay, which is a large amount of people in a large world of gaming. Would I recommend this game right now to somebody? No, I probably wouldn't, because it costs £20, there's barely any content, it doesn't play great overall, it plays like a game from 20 years ago, which I don't think works in 2017. It feels unfinished. Again, somewhat expected because early access, but I don't feel like by saying that it can be used as an excuse when I think there were so many things which should have been changed before opening up to the public for that price tag, especially when you compare it to a game like CSGO, which is £13. Down the line, maybe in a few months, it will be worth that price tag. It's just a waiting game, I guess. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Two shot. Oh my god, 3 heads. 4 heads? It's like playing CS. 4 heads with a pistol. That was a sick eco round. 5 heads.